right, so I did click live. See if it updates anybody. Zing, zing, ding-a-ling-a-ding, ding, dang. I haven't gotten an update yet. Oh, there it is.
Nice.
So it looks like it's working. So we'll give a couple minutes for people to wander in through the door, off of the street.
Yes.
They heard some noise. No one else was in the bar, but they decided to come in. And they're glad they did because
look at our big old coffees.
It's $5. It's $5 Dunkin' Donut Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I got to turn.
We needed an extra large today.
Turn the volume down here. Kids, right? Kids. Hey, I'm going to say it. Kids kind of suck. They're great, except for when they're not.
Yep.
Which is most of the time.
Yep. Molding the little person into a respectable human is hard.
This is not the Facebook version of parenting. This is real parenting. This is
the real ugly mom yelling at the top of her. Did you know I could yell that loud?
I've never heard you. You've thankfully never yelled that loud at me. Usually I just get from across the house.
God.
Marc!
I was like, I try so hard not to be the yelling mom, but I'm like, I'm just gonna own it today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna yell.
Sometimes you just got to do it. What are you gonna do?
And that's, I find it. Did you see what happened? He had that thing in his hand. He just looked at me and dropped it.
He stopped cold. He was not hanging around to see what was going to happen. I can't see the oh, there we go. There's the comments. Click to view comments. All right. Yes? Happy QoS to everybody. May the QoS be with you.
Jason wants to know how he watches Friday Live.
Jason. You could deal with that.
All right. Yeah. I'll just send him to the link.
Yeah. All right. Looks like everybody's getting their notifications, so that's a good start. Ping, ping, ping. Questions already coming in, man. All right, let's do this.
Oh, I guess so.
Let's do a show. I'm ready, Nicole.
I'm not even like down this much on my coffee.
It's all good. I do all the talking, so you just sit there and look pretty.
Thankfully, you do all the talking.
Yeah, and this is a big week for me. I just finished the Credenza project.
It is gorgeous.
Do you guys want to see pictures of it? It's actually in the house already, so as soon as it was done, we got it in the house. Nicole got her little PS4 in there.
My little PS4.
Yeah.
It's a Pro.
It's a PS4 Pro. It's not just a little one. Okay. So here's a couple of shots of it. And by the way, if you follow me on Instagram, if you look at my stories or go into my profile, I have a saved story about this where you can watch me actually crap all over my own work.
I thought it was very helpful. I watched the whole series.
Well, good. Did you like it?
I did like it.
Okay.
I thought I learned something.
Well, what happened was a couple people had noticed some of the grain direction wins on this, as well as some of the grain direction, I guess you can call them losses, areas where I was not as happy with the way that the grain turned out. So I did a full series of Instagram stories that pretty much documented like what I was really happy with grain-wise, what I wasn't, and explaining what it means to kind of paint with grain, how you could use grain direction to really take a project to the next level, but also the realistic side of things where it's very easy to look at a photo of something somebody built and you could be like, oh, that grain's not going the right way, or you could have used a better board for that one. But until you're actually building that piece of furniture with all those different components, and then you realize just how much wood you need to waste and go through and have at your disposal to get the perfect grain, especially with something like walnut, which is a real hodgepodge of grain and knots and all, sapwood all over the place. It's a very difficult thing to do. So the story just kind of goes into those details and shows you what to look for. And me just pointing out, it's not that I'm unaware that those things are there. It's just that at a certain point, as Nicole would say, you got to pinch it off.
Pinch.
Right? So go check that out. It's pretty fun.
I think it's funny that we still use pinch it off from the beta.
That was a long time ago.
Beta fish.
I don't know what that was.
So when I first met Marc, I was just his roommate.
Just my roommate. She just paid me money.
And he had a fish tank when I moved in, and there were were they two mollies? And one of them was going to the bathroom, like, pinch it off. And you just always
because like how fish always swim around with a little turd stuck to their butts. She's like, pinch it off, pinch it off. I was like, that's a funny thing. I'm going to use that 15 years from now on a live show. Okay, so we do have a thank you.
Yeah.
Little City Workshop. This is our buddy Michael Brindle sent us some beautiful glaringly white shirts.
And now it's white. Now it's dirty.
Well, it won't be white long if it stays in the shop.
Well, you can't wear it on the show because it's white.
Well, I don't wear anything white on the show.
Yeah.
Especially
but that's cool. I like his
not
logo.
after Labor Day, Nicole.
Yeah, I like his logo.
Yeah, so really, thanks for the shirt, man.
Thanks,
this
Michael.
is really nice.
And I believe Michael was a mentor.
Was he?
In the guild. For those wondering that are in the guild, they're like, what happened to mentorship? I'm reevaluating the whole thing. So I have to,
Facebook.
Version 2.0, I will get back to it, but it's going to be revamped a bit.
If you want to follow Michael, by the way, Little City Workshop on Instagram, you can check his stuff out.
Little City Workshop.
Yeah, all right. I think that's it for the thank yous.
Yep.
I do have one little product update that I wanted to tell you about before we get into the latest Woodpecker stuff. You guys remember I did the Bluetooth earbud shootout deal?
Yeah.
I caused some waves because I didn't pick Isotunes as the best. But yeah, I actually went with the Jaybirds, the X3. I think they have the X4 out now, so the one that I have is outdated. But a lot of people wanted to know, how does it hold up over time? Well, we're now, I think, well over a year, probably a year and a half since that video came out. And I finally, at this point, had to order new Comply tips. And I ordered a 3-pack because I couldn't remember what size it was when I was ordering this. But I have the isolation style, the really soft, squishy ones, because these were just kind of, just with body oil and earwax and all that yummy stuff, and just usage over time, these just kind of get a little bit ratty. So I am going to replace them. But the headphones themselves are still fully functioning. So I'm still very happy with these Jaybirds. These are my primary ear protection, Bluetooth, and sound. This is how I listen to my podcast. This is how I listen to music, stuff like that.
How he tunes me out.
That's how I tune Nicole out when she's asking for me to put out the garbage. Anyway, so there's just a quick update. Still going strong. Should we do the Woodpeckers thing? You want to do a quick question?
I think we should just jump into the Woodpeckers.
Okay.
Because I'm curious, because you have it all laid out nicely.
Jump into the Woodpeckers.
Jump into the Woodpeckers.
Okay, well, newsflash. It's a red thing, so there's that.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to move the camera.
Do you think they'll ever change the color?
Not now.
Yeah.
They're stuck with it.
Well, like for instance, Powermatic did like the Black series. It was like a limited edition thing. No. When you get back, after talking about Woodpeckers, we'll talk about the book launch. We forgot about the book launch.
Oh, shnikes. Okay.
While you're doing that, Triple J Custom Jose, hi.
What's up, Jose?
He said, hola, Spags.
Hola, Jose.
Coffee run. Thank you, Jose.
Thanks, dude. All right, so here's the latest and greatest from our friends over at Woodpeckers. They make some stuff, right? And sometimes they make stuff that you go, it's cool, it's all cool. And you have to go to a higher octave when you talk about it. You go, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure I would actually use it, but sometimes I really feel like they knock an idea out of the park. And it's just fun to be a woodworker sometimes when you have a company like Woodpeckers making fun stuff. Is this absolutely necessary? No, we have ways to do things that don't require this. But will this make your life easier and better and make you smile every time you set up your data blade? Yes, it will. So this is what they are calling their Woodpeckers DSF. And you can see it's like anything Woodpeckers makes, very heavy duty. The idea behind it is it helps you set up your dado stacks. So you guys, if you've watched the show, you know that typically I will take my dado stack like so, and then I will bring up a board and just kind of use my finger to see if I can get it lined up pretty close. It never fails. Even if you get really, really good at that, you're going to put this on the arbor, lock it down in the table saw.
A dado stack? What is this called, though?
This is the DSF. It's like a dado stack fixture, I believe. DSF. I sent you the link this morning.
Oh.
So you basically have this back and forth and putting it into the saw, taking it out of the saw. Even if you have to do one round of that, it's just a giant pain in the booty. So this is a fixture that is meant to hold your dado stack and cinch it down in the same way that your arbor nut would do in the table saw. You use this in combination with another product. They're kind of, it seems like they're launching these hand in hand, and it's called their gap gauge. All right, so the gap gauge is basically something that you can adjust and set. So let's say this is our piece that we're going to create a dado or a groove for, and you got this guy set up. There's a little knurled knob on the back side. You lock that down, and now we have our setting. And if we have a way to keep this stack nice and flat and compressed, we can actually use this to determine if we've got the right size. So here's how easy it works. It's still going to take a few seconds to set up the stack. Bear with me. If you have any questions, now would be a really good time.
Do we have a delay on this one?
Hooji? A what? A delay? April 1st, I think, is the deadline.
Oh, is it?
Did you say a delay, or did you mean
No,
deadline?
like a delay in the, like we had 20-second delay.
Oh, there might be a delay. I don't know. Who knows? Can people see it? Is the video freezing? If not, who cares? All right, so then you pop this little knob on there, tighten it down. Now, by the way, this normally is meant to be installed on something. You can actually use these two. If you've got a Festool MFT, they include these. They pop right down into the MFT holes, and then you use these pins to lock it in. Or you could simply just take a piece of scrap or something like that and pop the pins in by themselves. Looks like about a 3/8 pin. You could also put this in your leg vise. I'm just doing it on the workbench for an example. All right, so this guy's locked in. You can kind of just push that in there like so. You see we got some slack, right? So at this point, this is where you would take it out of your saw. You'd have to go through a whole rigmarole, Nicole. Mm-hmm. Right?
A rigmarole.
Yeah, throw a shim in, and then you check it again. Oops. See? But look how much faster that is when you're doing it with this thing. Let's test it again. Ooh, that's close. Now, depending on how you like your dados, you might like them a little loose. You might like them, if you're doing a really long piece, you might want just a little bit of slack. We might have it right there. But if not, you go through the process again, and you can get yourself another shim and continue this building up of the stack. So again, this is just one of those things that it just makes me excited when I see a company just innovating and making fun stuff that is so niche, so deep in the niche of woodworking, that no one else would take the time to make something like this. These things are fantastic. So if it's in the budget, this is one that I highly recommend. I'm going to be using this a lot.
You sent me the link.
Yeah.
The
Deadline, I believe, is April 1st.
It says expected ship date is 7/31. So is that June?
That's July. July.
And the deadline to order is April 1st.
Okay.
So, you got a little over a week and something?
A week and wicked?
Week and wicked.
Okay.
And the price for, it looks like $189 for the gauge, the gap.
The gap gauge.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones.
They got a mini one too. It's the mini gap gauge, and I guess you could use that for joinery, things like mortises, stuff like that. Look, bottom line is, I don't think anyone is ever going to look at this stuff and go, that's a bargain. You know what I mean? That's not what Woodpeckers does. They make super high quality stuff, and if it's something that you are the target market for that niche, you may go, yeah, it's not a bargain, but it's the best that there is at that thing, right? Or no one else makes something like that. So good stuff. I like this. I like this particular product. Very, very nice.
Gazang said, Woodpecker seems to be great at making incredibly niche products that you never knew you needed.
That's what it is, And here's the thing. A lot of people have a much more practical approach to woodworking than I do. So they go, yeah, that's just, I can't imagine spending that much on that particular thing. But a lot of people are woodworking as a side thing. Maybe it's just for fun. It's a hobby, which means some people got some monies. They got some money, Nicole, and they're willing to spend that money on things that make their life easier or make a process a little bit more fun or more interesting in the shop.
It's kind of like in my video game. I say, I only have 2 hours to spend. Should I buy the credits to get my extra XP boost?
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
I don't know. I don't think so, but.
Great analogy. Okay, so should we hit a question?
Yes.
So we got some super chats.
We do have some super chats.
Oh, some super chats. I like a super chat.
Jesus just did 2 super chats. Nicole, not really a question, just got those 2 super chats for free with the premium YouTube thing. What? How
so you get like a YouTube premium thing, and they give you super chats.
That's kind of neat.
That you can apply to your people you watch. That's awesome. Thank you for.
It's kind of like with
using that on us
on Twitch. Since I'm an Amazon Prime member, every month I can subscribe to a channel. So I always subscribe to Frog Pants and give them my Amazon Prime subscription.
That's kind of cool. That's a neat system.
It is neat.
Well, good on you, YouTube, for doing something right.
And I've been looking to set up YouTube, like the equivalent to Patreon in YouTube, but
their whole
we qualify, but yet we don't qualify.
Oh, well, the offcuts channel does
yes,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But no, we hit all of the qualifications.
Right.
Like, but they haven't rolled it out.
Not to everybody. Oh, well.
Who knows?
It just confuses things
knows?
anyway. Okay, let's go to Mike Davies' question. Mike Davies, by the way, did write this question on Patreon. So patreon.com/woodwhisperer if you want to help out the show and get priority.
And I am pulling questions
questions
from the YouTube chat.
Yes, she is. Okay, so Mike says, following up on the vise discussion from last week, Andy Klein had his twin turbo vise here on the show. I want to add a leg vise bench. I want to add a leg vise to my bench and got a screw off of Amazon because Benchcrafted is well out of my price range. Wondering about the best practice for deciding how far down the leg should be located. So he's talking about how far down that screw goes on the leg itself. Also, is 2 1/8 of an inch thick enough for the thickness of the chop? Because I have a chunk of wood that I'm thinking of using and I can get it at that dimension after milling. Would rather not buy another if it will do. Okay, so both of these things, when it comes to woodworking, some things are way older than us, right? And there are some things that are just kind of done that way because at least you like to think someone figured it out in the past. So when it comes to something like a location of a screw on a leg vise, that is not something that I have enough personal experience to give you a definitive answer on, but I then look at what other people do who do have more experience than I do. Classic Designs, for instance, you just brought up Benchcrafted. What does Benchcrafted recommend for the location of that screw? I can't imagine you'd want your screw to be much further from that, up or down. So look at what's already out there as an example, and that's probably going to give you your best answer. Similar thing with the chop, like at what point does a chop just not become as reliable, maybe more prone to racking or possibly even, breaking under pressure? Probably not going to happen, but does it really matter if you go to a full 3 inches thick, or can you get away with 2 1/8? I personally think you can get away with 2 1/8, but is there a point where that isn't sufficient for something? Possibly, but I don't know what that would be. If you're really worried about it, you could just laminate more stock to it. It's a face grain, situation, so you could just pop more stuff. Some people actually will use multiple species and lay them up that way to get the thickness that they need. But again, this is one of those things where I try to trust what has already been, the people who paved the way for us. And I don't have actual tests to determine why you would want a certain thickness on those things or location for a screw.
We have a super chat. If I could find it again.
A super duper chat.
Let's see. Everybody's doing free super chats from Google now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of neat. I didn't know they did that. So Joe Lapolino
apparently no one else did either.
Said it's time to move Deadpool again.
Yeah. Let me go get a drill. All right, I'll do it. I have to take my mic off to do that.
You just put him back on the other one.
Yeah, but I need a drill to put him anywhere. He's drilled with 2 hands, baby.
Alex Kilpatrick did a super chat. If eschewing, is that how you say it? Eschewing?
Eschewing.
Eschewing the tail vise on the Roube.
You go, eschew. Eschew. Get out of here. Uh-huh.
On the Roube for Andes, what's the pros and cons of putting end caps on both ends to connect the splits and have 8 condor tails? That was a whole bunch of words. I have no idea what I'm saying.
You could end cap both of them if you really wanted to. I mean, as long as you allow for movement in the construction of your end cap.
What's a condor tail?
It's what Jamil at Benchcrafted called his dovetail at the front, that big giant dovetail. It's just a play on words, a condor tail, because it's really large.
Big.
It's a lot bigger than a dove.
Gotcha.
So yeah, as long as you're allowing for movement and you want to use full-size end caps on there, I don't see any issue with that. One problem that you may have with end caps, depending on what you're trying to do, I could tell you right now, you put an end cap on both ends, there's one operation I think you're going to regret having that is if you ever need to work on a drawer body, right? So there's times where you need to plane a drawer side after it's been constructed. Maybe you've got dovetails that you need to flatten out and you want to plane them down. I use that overhang section where there's a gap between them.
Stop, there's something coming up on your computer and I wanted to make sure.
It's fine, Nicole. Don't worry about it.
Okay, it says Ecamm Live.
Yeah, it's notifications.
Okay.
Hey, mind your own business.
I just making sure the stream isn't going
You have your own laptop. Why are you wheezing on the juice over here?
If it stops, we're just talking to nobody.
Look, I got an
I'm
eye
not
on
listening.
this. I got an eye on this thing. So look, there's a gap, and you could pop the drawer right on there. That's actually a pretty tricky thing to clamp up anywhere else. In fact, a lot of times I'll do a drawer on there, and I don't even need a clamp. I just kind of put it in that gap, push it forward, and then it has its own built-in stop. So if you have a cap on both sides, that's going to be really difficult to do. I honestly wouldn't recommend capping off both sides. So let's continue with that theme. Gordon had a question pertaining to Andy's vices. He said, if they were available when you built the workbench, the Roube, would you replace either or both the tail or the leg vise with the twin screw? Why or why not? Well, the easy choice, I think, instinctually, most of us might say the end, right? So maybe the shoulder vise, or bench-crafted, I think they call it the tail vise, would be the one to replace. I actually don't think I would do that, because there's a lot of things with the way that this tail vise works, being able to not just pinch things along the bench in the dogs, but also the shoulder vise gap that's created. There are times where I'll maybe do dovetailing on the end of a board, and I pop it down in that hole, bring the shoulder vise in, squeeze it side to side, and I'm good to go. I love that clamping feature, and I would not be able to get that with the turbo vise being on the side. I would actually have, I don't know that I would have, because I still like the bench crafted stuff. I'd have to really give it a lot of thought, but if I were going to replace it with the turbo vise, I would substitute the leg vise for Andy's vise. I think in that location, it can do everything that the leg vise can do, or at least that I would need it to do, and probably does it better. So that would be my recommendation. But I mean, just think about the operations you're gonna do and how the vices work. You're not really gonna be screwed either way. It's a good vise. You'll find a way to hold the work.
Eric Gonzers-Zuck.
Okay.
Ruck. Another free super chat from Google. Thank you, Eric.
You guys are great.
Ness G's in the chat.
Ness.
She's staying up with us. She said, "Happy Friday, Spags. Good day to be. Good day to be. Good day to be catching up." Oh,
yeah.
She's
just speaking kid slang, Nicole.
Yeah.
It's just kid slang. That's all. Ness is pretty hip.
Read it how it says, right?
Just
good day to
read
be
it.
catching up live. P.S. I think you're overdue for some Tim Tams soon.
Oh,
Cheers.
girlfriend,
Aw.
you ain't kidding. I need to slam some stuff. Hey, you want to talk about sugar?
Yeah, let's talk about sugar.
So, I have been in over like the last year and a half, like since my last physical, where the doctor's like, "Hey, pre-diabetes, knocking on your door.
Yeah.
You either do something or it's just going to keep getting worse." And I took it very seriously. I've never been a really unhealthy eater or anything. I've never really had any weight problems, thankfully. But
Even with my bad influence.
yeah, even with your baking,
I know.
in spite of your baking, Nicole.
I know.
So I've been behaving a lot more this past year, cutting out a lot of sugars where they just don't need to be there. And I've been running a lot more and cycling a lot more. And got my blood test numbers back, and I'm starting to reverse the trend, which is pretty fantastic.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah, doctor says that at this point, as long as you keep up what you're doing, I don't see that you're in imminent danger of anything happening. You're doing fine. So good news. It's nice to have like a happy health story once in a while, because it seems like I go on Facebook and it's just one horrible health story after another. You're not even listening. Okay.
Yeah, I was. Well, I was reading Patty's question because she said your monthly drawings end at 12 a.m. Mountain. I missed last month's. I had to keep putting it off until 11, after 11 Pacific time.
Huh?
I guess the drawing from last month. The winner for the table saw was Josh Doolittle.
Well, but why'd you wait till the last day?
Yeah, Patty, that was running for over a month.
Well, maybe she just didn't know
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, I mean, usually if you're waiting until the
I was
last day.
talking about it. So, yep. It's
Time zones get
it's a
a
time
little-
zone.
little wacky.
If you look in the details of the terms and conditions, it says in there.
Okay, Stuart Johnson wrote in. He said, "I just watched the Instagram video about the Credenza build. We talked about that a little earlier. You spoke about the sapwood several times. I don't see sapwood as being necessarily a defect. Can this be highlighted and brought into the overall look?" Okay, well, I didn't mean to, and a couple people, Stuart, said the same thing. I definitely didn't mean to imply that sapwood was bad. Sapwood, I feel like, has to be intentional. If sapwood shows up accidentally, I feel like that's bad. If you just have everything just looks like nice brown walnut,
And then like, boop.
and like out of nowhere, boo, there's a little bit of sapwood, it's like, well, that was poor planning. Or just an unfortunate thing that you didn't notice until it was done. So intentional sapwood, good. Unintentional sapwood, bad. On this particular piece, I really didn't want to use sapwood because sapwood, to use it properly, I think, actually it's a lot more work, because you now have to be very careful about where it goes, what direction it's going, how much coverage do you have. And if you have a lot of it, you can kind of get this hodgepodge sort of look, and it might come out looking okay. But I think it has to be very purposeful. And in this particular credenza, I really just wanted a very warm, walnut, dark walnut look, and I was trying to avoid sapwood as much as possible, keeping it to like the back of the side panels or the inside bottom, panels, stuff that you're not really going to see. So when one little tiny piece of sapwood popped up on a door and there's no sapwood anywhere else in those doors, to me, that's bad use of sapwood.
There you go. We have a question from Ellie. Is it Kochman? Kochman?
I don't see it. Oh, Ellie.
Ellie.
Eli?
Oh.
Yeah.
Eli. I think it's Eli.
Maybe. I would say Ellie.
He's a guild member, so.
Then I would say Eli. Buddy, sorry. I don't. Are you sure it's a dude?
I just by the image.
Apologies, we're very rude when it comes to names.
Yes. I only have so much to go off of. Can you recommend an efficient way to sand edge profiles? Took so much time on my latest project, wondering if there's a trick.
Yeah, and if you have a potentially confusing name like that, it'd be really helpful if you're a girl to dot your I's with a heart, and that would just kind of give us a clue. It's like back in school. All right, so what did they say? I was so focused on making a stupid joke.
About
efficient
sanding
way to
edge
sand
profile.
edge profiles. Took so much time on my latest project.
I got it right. Okay,
good. Eli, right?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so edge profiles can be tricky. A lot of times you want to use, Epic Woodworking. I think it's Epic Woodworking. There's a dude that makes this double-sided sandpaper that works really well. The reason I like it is because it's two pieces of sandpaper put together like this. They're already glued together, and it makes for a very stiff piece of sandpaper. Not very, but like much stiffer than a simple single sheet. And you can use that to really cut into edges. So if you're gonna do this the sort of like cobble it together way, using things like that, stiff sandpaper, you can also use thin strips of stock. I cleaned up, I don't have any examples to show you, but thin pieces of plywood, which you could then adhere sandpaper to, or just kind of use that to back it up so you can get inside the crisp edges of the profile. I also use those little rubber sanding grips, and they come in like concave and convex shapes. They're somewhat flexible, and you could wrap those with sandpaper. But if you have a lot of these to do, there's a lot of tricks out there I've seen people use where they make something kind of like a foam thing conform to the shape of the profile, and then use that to actually sand it. And this way, this thing is kind of dedicated to that shape. I haven't really ever done anything like that, but it's something I've seen people do. You might look into that if you have a ton of this. But otherwise, when I have profiles, I'm not batching out big projects, but I have enough to keep me busy for a little while, but I'm not gonna make a custom sanding thing for it. I'm usually just gonna figure it out and do it by hand.
I missed the super chat at the very top.
Oh.
Gordon White was so fast that I didn't even see it. He did super chat and said for cola for the kids so they have a fair chance.
Wow.
They don't drink soda.
Yeah.
There's no interest in it.
One time,
all.
Mateo accidentally took a sip of a soda.
Like,
I was like,
I
spit it
think
out.
it's the carbonation.
They don't like the bubbles.
They don't like the bubbles.
Which is just fine with me.
Yeah,
they got their whole lives to drink soda.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they will not. Okay, David Wiggins, our good buddy, he wrote in, he said, should 4/4, 8/4, and 12/4 lumber be 1, 2, and 3 inches thick, respectively, after, assuming you only take off the minimum required, milling, or only before? I've seen places that seem to talk about both and wondered if it was a choice made by the supplier or if there's a proper measurement that not all suppliers adhere to. So I can't say across the board, David, if there's, rules that they're supposed to comply with, but I found a similar thing. Some places just have it a little bit thicker. They got a little bit more meat on there, and some don't. One thing I usually have in my mind when I'm planning, the most important thing is to know what's the minimum you're going to get, right? So when I am incorporating 8/4 stock into my work, I only account for 1 3/4 inches. Now, if I go to a supplier that happens to have stuff that's a little bit thicker than that, so that even after I mill it down further, I'm kind of proud of 1 3/4 inches, great. But when I plan it and I draw it, I only count on 1 3/4 inches because you just can't count that you're going to have any more than that. So I've got a little chart I'm going to put up here. There's an article, we'll put a link in the show notes, archtoolbox.com. And they have a lumber size article, nominal versus actual. So if you scroll down to the hardwood section, you'll see this handy little chart right there.
Am I looking?
No, you don't have to.
Well, I'm going to put it in the show note.
Well, let me see. Hold on. Let me copy the link. Can I send it to you in text?
I can just search for it. Hardwood.
I'm not sure it'll come up.
All right.
There you go.
Normal versus actual? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. I'm doing a show here, Nicole.
Yeah, I know. You're
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Okay. So check out this chart, and you'll see, look down toward the bottom, you got your 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, and it shows if it's surfaced on one side, here's what you could expect the thickness to be. If it's surfaced on both faces, you could expect it to be a little bit thinner. And this is fairly consistent to what I've experienced. So if you're buying like lumber that's S3S or something like that, or worse yet, S4S, which is surfaced 4 sides, surfaced 3 sides, you can kind of bank on it being pretty close to this. So the more processed it gets, you're going to end up with something that, for instance, 8/4, 1 3/4, which is why I said you'll never really go wrong accounting for your 8/4 stock to end up at 1 3/4. Hopefully, though, you're getting it rougher than that. And sometimes if you go to an independent sawyer, who knows what their setup is? Maybe they're just cutting their stuff a little bit generous, So anyway, check out that article, check out that chart. That'll at least give you an idea of what to expect based on what the habits of that particular vendor are. It just depends on what they do.
I have a question from Brad Foster. He
Okay.
said, Nicole, I used my wife's Pampered Chef measuring cup for shellac. Needless to say, it's unusable. She looked at me and said, I'm not Nicole.
Oh, did she? Wow.
How do I make this up to her? You buy her a new set is what you do.
I'm not Nicole.
Yeah.
Look, you're setting a standard
Yeah.
by which wives have to
I
reach
don't like
Nicole.
it when he takes my stuff. I don't understand how this is somehow out there.
Like that you tolerate
Like
it?
I tolerate. No. He uses my stuff. He buys me something new
Well,
and better.
But here's the thing. I do. What's ruined about it? Is it a plastic one or is it glass?
I'm not sure what Pampered Chef. They probably have a variety of ones.
Pampered Chef. Look it up. I want to see. Because if it's plastic, I could see, why he might be upset.
Probably is plastic. Most of them are.
Well, look. Okay, I see. So there's
Yeah.
the clear plastic ones. Okay, the reason I ask is because
the
if it's
Pyrex.
glass. If it's glass, like a Pyrex thing, I don't think it's ruined.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just clean it with a little bit more denatured alcohol, and then.
But if it's plastic,
I would probably run it through the dishwasher, good soap and water cleanup. I don't think that's going to be harmful, at least my personal opinion. I think it should wash any nasty stuff away. If it's plastic, it may not have reacted well to the alcohol that's in the shellac, and maybe that's part of the problem.
you over a new one.
Yeah,
That's easy.
just buy a new one.
You didn't even have to ask me. You
Yeah.
knew the answer.
You knew the answer before you asked it. Come on now.
Let's see. We got a super chat from Frankie. Frankie did.
Hey, Frankie.
Both Frankie and Kenneth did the free premium YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Kenneth had a question too.
Thanks, Frankie.
I didn't see it. I'll go back and look for it. And of course,
I have another question while we're waiting.
Our winner of the table saw, Josh Doolittle's in the
Oh,
chat
Josh.
room. Buying the PM 2000, be one donation at a time. P.S. Bestie, the PMS 48 is looking very lonely, waiting for the table saw.
His slider. He's
Yeah.
got the slider.
He
got the slider before the saw.
Yeah.
So Josh is probably he's out in his garage.
I'll
going,
double check with my contact and just see if she can give me a timeline. A lot of times she just puts the order in and they ship it out.
Think of all the QoS Josh can buy now that he doesn't have to buy a new table saw.
When his name came up, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
This is like the universe writing itself for us messing with Josh so much about the QoS thing. That's what that is. Kyle Rasmussen wrote in. He says, "Hey Mark, glued up a prototype butcher block countertop for a customer. My wife saw it and realized it's the perfect size to cut her Cricut on. I guess it's like a scrapbooking tool. I'm not familiar with it, but it's CRICUT, Cricut. So now it's going to be the top for her table. Am I going to have a problem putting a 6/4, 22-inch by 26-inch butcher block top on a table? The problem is it's made from alternating pattern of walnut, ash, red oak, and cherry repeating. Any suggestions what I could make the legs and skirt out of and what I should finish them with?" Okay, Kyle, practically anything. I'm not too worried that the top is made from multiple species. Of course, anytime you do that, there's a possibility for things to be a little bit wacky. You've got woods moving at different rates, but if they're unrestricted, it should be fine as long as the wood is stable. I don't see any particular problems with this. 6/4, top like that is fairly beefy, but anything that's built well is going to support it. So this comes down to not so much what I think will work so much as what your wife would want in a stand for this. Think about what she's doing in this space, and I would say go for functionality. Design a base that will hold this top and either have storage or have the leg room that she needs to do, to be comfortable while she's working. Don't think this is so much like a challenging top that requires some kind of special handling in the base. All right, so just think about the functionality. Consider maybe a trestle base. A trestle base is a nice surface to work at. I've found even some workbenches have trestle-based designs. Certainly would be enough to support the weight. And the wood species, I'm not too worried about that either. Finish, well, you've got a lot of different species there, but this is, again, a work surface, so think about what's going to happen on it. Do you want something a little more protective, like a wipe-on poly? Do you want to try one of these new to us woodworkers finishes like Osmo or Rubio? That's a good time to test that stuff out. The sky's the limit. This is just one of those things where I don't have enough information about her preferences to tell you what to use.
So Frankie said coffee money, and Kenneth said, had a question. I got a set of footprint chisels in a box of hand tools yesterday. Ever heard of them? Are they any good? Footprint. Never even heard of it.
Never heard of those. But I'm not your hand tool enthusiast kind of guy. Yeah. At least historically. Like, I know newer brands. Shannon might.
Shannon would know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
He doesn't know that much, Nicole. He's got a big head, but it's not filled with information, despite what he tries to make people think.
I love that you love him so much that you make fun. See, this is the thing. When Mark makes fun of you, he loves you.
It probably means that I have a man crush on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a super chat from OJ. Lots of characters.
I love what he wrote. What he or she wrote.
Yeah.
Please get my gender correct. I don't send money off to be disrespected. Well, whatever your name is, you didn't heart your eyes.
Yep.
So how am I supposed to know?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, Chris Calnassi is my last question. Designing up a cherry chest of drawers for a customer. The current plan is 3/4 stock for the drawers and 1/4-inch ply for the bottom. I wanted to try for the first time a sliding dovetail for attaching the front and rear to the sides. Considering 3/4-inch stock, I figured a 1/2-inch dovetail router bit was risking it way too much for blowout or cracking. Should I aim for 3/8 or a 1/4-inch bit? Thanks, as always. Okay, it's a little bit tricky. This is one I'd have to think about because I have to know a little bit more about where you're putting this thing. Just because a dovetail, let's say, has a 1/2-inch max width, right, the dovetail bit, it can cut that 1/2-inch max slot. What determines how strong that's going to be really is how much material is left to the outside of that and underneath it. So it's how deep you plunge that router and how close you put that to the edge. So depending on how you design your drawers, you may be able to compensate and still allow you to use a 1/2-inch bit. So I don't know that it's necessarily putting you in a danger zone. Definitely you're thinking about it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. The danger zone.
You know, I think Chris Schwartz looks like Kenny Loggins, right?
No, I didn't know that.
I say that all the time.
Do you?
No one seems to agree with me. Like there's an older picture of him.
Maybe.
With his beard. His hair was a little bit shorter.
A little bit.
There's a Kenny Loggins
I could see ish.
Okay. So yeah, just basically, it really depends. If you want to email me some more information about this with more details, we might be able to get into it a little bit more. But I wouldn't say just throw out the possibility of using the 1/2-inch because it probably could be used if you have enough material to support it on the side and underneath. And I'm done with my Patreon questions.
I want to throw. Can you scroll up and find Jim's? Scroll.
Hold on, I got to add that. Just in case anyone wanted to know, that's what Josh thinks.
Because
Josh, we disagree.
He was the runner-up.
I know. Someone else actually won. I don't think we said this, did we?
I don't know if we said it.
Someone else won the table saw, and part of the rules of the game here are you have 48 hours to respond.
Because the
a really important
companies don't want to sit around waiting for you.
Well, they don't want to sit around waiting. Plus, a lot of the giveaway hounds, basically people who don't know who we are, don't care about woodworking, they're just looking to win something free and then probably sell it. They also tend to use a lot of email addresses so that they can enter multiple times, which means they also don't check those emails very frequently. So not to say that that's what happened here, but that's the reason the rule exists. And unfortunately, the original winner never responded. Even still has not responded.
No. I feel for the day. He checks his email.
Yeah, they check the email. It's like,
oh God. 2 months from now, he's going to check his email.
Hey, about that table saw.
I'm sorry.
Not happening, sucker.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's a shame, but that's the way it goes. What are you looking for?
I like this feature, so when a question does pop up.
Oh, you want me to start throwing up questions?
Yeah, it was from Jim.
Get out
Jim
of it.
Schaefer. Jim Schaefer had a guild question.
Do not touch my mouse pad, woman. Mike wants to know, how are the winners chosen for these draws?
They're random. So the system that we use is called Gleam. They have a back-end system that does a random.
I think it's tied into random.org.
Random.org, yeah.
So it's a random number generator that picks the winner.
And here's the other thing. That system also checks for duplicate entries. So I had a lot of people trying to game this giveaway.
Yeah, a lot of dupes. Let's see what else we got. Are you out of questions over there?
No, I just wanted you to answer Jim Schaefer's.
Okay. I'm looking for it.
It's right underneath Jeremy Spence's.
You really don't want me
Never
to
mind.
do this.
I'll just read it.
It's a very difficult
Any
thing.
idea how tall the hall tree storage bench is going to be? My birthday is coming up in April, and I'm thinking about getting it for myself as a birthday gift.
Shoot. I don't know. We sized it. Brian Benham is the guy who's helping me. He's actually co-designing this one with me because I didn't have enough time.
Didn't we say like 7 feet?
We gauged it so that Nicole could comfortably reach the top shelf. And then there's enough storage room above that plus crown. And I think we measured your reach at something like about 6 feet. So I would say this thing's total height might be around 7 feet tall, possibly. It's going to come apart in 2 pieces. There's going to be the base. The top will sit on there. The other thing is, keep in mind with a project like this, it is not going to be difficult to make this thing any height you want, because that top section just has those panels on the side and the back and also the partitions. All you have to do is decrease their length and everything comes down a little bit. You leave the base alone, but decrease the total height. And all the other dimensions at the top can stay the same. You're just bringing the sides, taking them up a little bit, and then thus lowering the entire height of the piece. Very easy to adjust.
Chris asked what Marc's email is. I don't give out Marc's email because he hates email and he gets way too much of it.
We used to do that. Remember, I used to put my email in my videos, and I used to put Ask Marc on the homepage of our website.
But if you email him, if you happen to know his email and you email him, it is likely it will not get to him. We try to funnel everything through our contact page. If you're a guild member, you get special treatment for that, but we get so much email, he would never be able to build if he addressed all the email.
Look, guys, I'm kind of a big deal.
Shut up.
So
no, you just get a crap load of email.
I don't have time for
what that form does, it helps us because
it routes it through the system.
Yes. So there's things that I can help and Marc's mom can help with.
Yeah, super important stuff gets where it needs to go. I still answer email questions from guild members. That's a priority thing in my inbox. But
you have to do it through the guild.
I am also accessible. Maybe little known fact. I'm accessible on Instagram.
Yeah.
I do check every private message I get on Instagram. Please don't start flooding me with questions there. But I do absolutely try my best because I'm on there every day. So it's something that's a little bit easier. But my inbox is something that is not a guarantee. I do try to answer those questions, but it's not guaranteed I'm going to be able to.
And not to say that you would do this. I'm not insinuating this, but it does happen. Marc will get emails like asking for a nice big response, and then he finds out, oh, this was sent to like 10 other YouTubers.
Well, look, I have a lot of friends that do the same thing I do. And sometimes we'll be texting, I'll be like, hey, this dude sent me this thing, or I'll will clarify, or I'll send something to Matt, and Matt will go like, yeah, he emailed me too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's a shotgun approach. People are hoping someone answers. And here's the problem. A lot of people don't answer.
Right.
So that's why they're like, what does it hurt to send it to 5 different people? But then when they all do answer, it was like when Wood Talk used to get, we'd answer the same question, and someone would tell us a week later, Shop Talk Live answered the same question. And we're like, no double dipping.
Don't double dip. We have a question here from Sarcastic Guitar.
Yeah.
They are building.
Sorry. What do you think about this? Paul says, maybe you can just give us Matt Cremona's email. Matt, is that okay?
Probably not.
Can we send you some emails? Okay,
emails.
Go ahead.
So Sarcastic Gamer, they are building the shaker side table. What tooth count on a dovetail saw would you recommend?
Oh, I don't know. If it's a dovetail saw.
I'll recommend it. 100?
Good job, Nicole. She counts 100 teeth from front to back. Okay, so I'll teach you about this.
Okay, thank
all right? Generally, when we talk about saw blades, it's a tooth per inch.
Oh,
because
so
it's
that
the total
100 would
tooth.
be a lot.
Like if you had a really long blade, you'd have a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
But it's usually TPI,
Okay,
teeth
TPI.
per inch. How many is ideal for a dovetail saw? I don't know.
Did you fill out your
I
TPI?
honestly, most companies that I've seen generally have a dovetail saw. They don't necessarily have multiples. So you might be looking at someone who has, multiple tooth counts. They're both going to work. I don't know. I mean, the one that has more teeth is probably going to cut slower but cleaner. But if they're calling it a dovetail saw at all, you're looking at pretty fine teeth. You're looking at almost no set, if any at all, which means they're going to be very comparable. I'm surprised that a company even has different ones, but it's just a matter of which one's going to cut faster and more aggressively, I would imagine. But I don't have a good answer for you. Speaking of Shannon, let's give his email and let him answer that question.
Jordan said, I just checked my spam folder. Whew. Thank goodness it wasn't me.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people checking their spam.
Everybody's just double check. Well, you don't want to know, trust me.
Yeah,
Like if you find it now, game over.
Yeah.
You're better off not knowing.
Yeah, just oblivious.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got a question here from Jonathan Garcia. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Spagnuolo. You don't have to call us that. You can just Mark and Nicole's fine. Are biscuits good for production work? And do riser blocks have any negative effect on bandsaw cut quality? Excuse me, I burped. Quality.
Well, I find biscuits make me work faster.
I think biscuits make
especially if it's like a beef stew.
Yeah.
And you have like
Biscuits
those
and
really
beans.
buttery biscuits.
Yeah.
Makes me work really fast. You know what? Biscuits absolutely are good for production work. Talk to Daryl Peart about biscuits. Here's a man who was in the industry for a very long time and is a big believer in biscuits being strong enough for some applications. Not all, some. So yes, I'm going to say that with the caveat being I don't know what you're building, so it might require something a little bit stronger, but they certainly can be used for that. The other question was about the riser block. A riser block can cause trouble, right? You're raising the height of the bandsaw, you're requiring it to use a longer blade. Things can kind of change a little bit in alignment. I have one and it works perfectly fine, but there are variables at play, and you're increasing the number of variables when you add that riser block. So I'm just saying there's potential for things to be a little more difficult, but tons of people have riser blocks, and if you need the capacity, then go for it. If you don't think you're going to need the capacity, or maybe you're going to rock like a 2 bandsaw setup like I've got, at this point, I would rather not have the riser block because I don't put anything that big under that saw. I use that for cutting curves. I use it for cutting usually a pretty small blade on there, and I don't need the full height capacity. So I would rather reduce my variables and have it be a simpler machine because I have the other bandsaw as my backup. So it just depends on what you're doing.
So I just went to our website and reminded me again, we should probably let
keep
you
forgetting
know
about
that we have worked with Austin Hardwoods in Denver to create a launch party for Marc's new book on April 13th. So if you are going to be in Denver, don't make a trip out for this. I mean, if you want to,
You
that's
might want
fine.
to. It's a free jointer being given away.
Well, you just now dropped my big reveal.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna from 9 to 11
I have said.
in the morning on Saturday, April 13th, we're doing a book launch party at Austin Hardwoods in Denver. And at 10 a.m., you have to be present to enter and win. So if you enter and then leave before 10 and you win, you don't win it. But Marc is upgrading his jointer, and we worked with Powermatic, and they said, hey, let's do a giveaway. We're like, hey, I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
So Austin Hardwoods is going to come and pick up your 8-inch jointer, take it to the
They're going to pick
to
it up
the
that
store.
Friday, take it to their location, have it on display.
Yep.
And they will provide local delivery,
Yeah.
which is really awesome of them.
It's
I mean, that's not
amazing.
to be taken lightly. They
Yeah.
will actually take this to your place, probably dump it in your driveway.
In the Denver area, not Colorado Springs. That's not local.
Not Fort Collins.
Not Fort Collins.
It's got to be within like a reasonable,
vicinity.
Denver metro area,
Yes.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But they're going to do that for free.
Yeah.
Now, if you are from a little bit further out of town, you're going to be responsible for picking it up, and you're going to have a time limit. They're not going to be able to hold this thing forever. So just keep that in mind if you want to enter. That's going to be the requirement. Is you got to be able to take care of this thing and,
Yeah.
take
And
it out there.
I will pick another winner.
Yeah, we will. We're not afraid to do that. Stephen Word says QoS should stand for quality of snark during Friday live shows. I totally agree with that.
So for the book launch party, I do have an Eventbrite ticket because we're trying to get a count. So I think you can get up to 5 tickets, but you can get more. We do have a cap on the number of people, just because right now I set it at 400. So
it'll be interesting to see. We have no idea what to expect for something like this. The book launch party in and of itself, maybe 100. That's what I would estimate it would be. But when you're giving away a free 8-inch Powermatic jointer, I imagine the numbers are going to go up a little bit.
Yeah. Who is this guy? What's going on?
I don't think most of the people have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
Like,
so
why
we
is he
hope
talking?
it goes to someone that knows us.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be really nice.
But yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a family thing.
Yeah.
Because my mom will be in town, so we're going to
kids will be there.
Our kids will be there. My mom is going to be there. My stepdad will likely be there. Jason might even be there.
Mm-hmm.
Jason said he wants to wear a black suit with an earpiece and stand behind me the whole time. So we can definitely do that. But it's going to be cool. So if you want to meet us, you want to meet the family, come and say hi. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Austin Hardwoods, those guys are incredible. They're so good to us and so generous with their resources and time. It's great that they're allowing us to.
And if you haven't pre-ordered the book, don't worry, we'll have some there, and you can, if you want to pick one up there, you can.
And let me just do a book update. We still don't have much more information than the delivery date is at the end of March, where the books will come to us. We hope they get here by the end of March, if not the first week of April. As soon as those books come in. My mom's coming in this week.
Okay.
She'll be in this week to kind of prep everything. As soon as the first book comes in.
There's so much packing material in our house.
Yeah, our house looks like a
bananas.
shipping warehouse. I'm going to put some pictures up on Instagram to show you guys. But yeah, so as soon as the book comes in, they will be going out the door immediately and constantly until we're done. So we're doing our best.
Gazank said, is there a recommended first aid kit in the Amazon Woodwood Spur store? We don't. I looked. I don't have anything.
Well,
but I am going to put the link to
the episode
199, which is the Woodworker's first aid kit, and there are links in there because Marc built his own.
Yeah, I bought one of those little wall hanging red metal bins. And I just kind of, picked and chose.
Yeah.
I picked it and chose it.
Picked it and chose it. I'll put the little red box in the Amazon store. So amazon.com/shop/thewoodwhisperer.
Yeah, and I basically selected some things that I thought are critical for a woodworker. Stuff like thinking from the simplest splinter to worst case scenarios. And there's some crazy stuff in there that let's hope we never have to use.
I hope so too.
Okay. So here's a question from Mason. He wants to know what's my favorite tool in the shop. It's a tricky one, man. That's I got a lot of favorites. Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. Might be a little controversial.
Ooh.
I might make some friends and some enemies with this, Nicole. The domino.
Oh, yeah.
The domino, and I think I like it even more because I can't use it that often. I want to use it. I was even talking to Brian about building this hull tree thing. And he's like, we're talking about joinery that we would use. He's like, yeah, I would pop some dominoes in there and get the thing out the door, right? Because he builds for clients and stuff. The domino just ruined everything. It really did, and I love it. I love it for it because it's such a disruptor, and I just wish I could use it more. I wish the domino, or at least the domino technology, could come down in price so it would become a more accessible thing. More people could have it, and then I'd be able to use it more.
Hey, but if you wait until probably August, the price is going to go up. So it's like it's on sale.
It's almost like it's on sale ahead of time. That's good thinking, Nicole. Before they do their price increase sales. But yeah, and then I've always cautioned people too, if you're just starting out woodworking and you do have the budget for a domino, that you might want to hold off on it because it will cause you to not venture into some of these more complicated joinery techniques and a skill set that can be applied to a bunch of other things the domino can't do. So you do have to be careful about it, but at the same time, I don't know, I love it. I think it's a great tool. It's probably one of the best woodworking inventions in the last 50 years.
Eric Sanchez says, more Matt Cremona jokes.
Well, he's got bad hair. There's that.
That's insults. That's not a joke.
No. His hair is bad because he doesn't comb it. And he lets it grow too long. Wow. I mean, he could have nicer hair.
That's just a critique. That's not a joke.
I think it's funny. It's funny to me. Here's a joke. Matt's like, I can't comment on the guild site to respond to people. I got a message waiting for me that I have to figure out. He's whining about it.
Is he logged in? Has he rebooted his
computer? Did you reboot the computer? Check your QoS settings. Yeah, Chris says, this is what I've heard too, but we'll see that the Domino's patent is supposedly coming up in a few years. Likely others will make their own. I've heard that for like the past 5 years that it's happening soon, but I don't know what actual information, when does it actually expire? Is there some loophole or something that allows them to get an extension or something weird? I don't know anything about that stuff. Anyways, what else we got?
We have a question from Brian Tharp. Have you ever used glue sizing for a work surface? Does that make sense? Glue sizing for a work surface?
Well, no, I haven't, but what he's talking about, glue sizing, if you take, regular Type-On original, put a little bit of water in it, dilute it down, it's called glue sizing. And you could use that as like a sealer. People use it on paint projects if you're going to seal the ends of MDF so it doesn't accept the glue and make it look different. You could use it as a sealer. You can also use it kind of as a finish if you really wanted to. I've seen,
glue?
I think there was about a year and a half ago, 2 years maybe, someone did like a video on it. It might have even been like, it was one of those things you wouldn't expect, like This Old House or something.
Oh, okay.
Did a video showing I think it was a box maker who uses glue as a finish. So it can be done. How well it works, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I would want to do it because a can of finish is pretty easy to find. If I didn't have access to finishes and I just had a big bottle of glue, then I might do something like that, but I don't see any reason why I would want to do that. But it could work. It would seal the surface and put, a film on there. Okay, what else? We're getting close to the end
Brooklyn
here.
Buffalo Woodworks. I recently made a red oak table.
Brooklyn!
I did not fill the grain.
Oh, no.
I finished it with shellac and buff with some wax. I have noticed some white residue stuck in the grain. How do I get this wax out? Thanks.
That's a little bit tricky, man.
Yeah.
You got some wax shoved into those little teeny tiny crevices and holes. How do you get that out without doing some serious removal? Maybe a mineral spirits wipe down, and you can kind of remove that top layer of wax. But really, if you think about what's happening on the surface, even if you melt the wax dissolve the wax with the mineral spirits, you might still wind up just shoving some of it down into the pores. I don't know if you're going to be able to get it all off the surface without like completely scraping the surface down and refinishing, which I would hate to see you have to do. So let's ask the chat if anybody has a good suggestion for this, because getting the wax out of the pores might be a little bit tricky.
Can you like stick a needle in it and try to pull it out?
Yes, every little pore. You're like, perfect. Boop. Only 1 million more to go.
Tweezer.
Scrape it out. I mean, maybe some kind of a brush or something, but at this point,
Eric says, can you warm the wood and melt the wax?
Yeah, but to what end? Like, how do you get the wax, the melted wax, out of the pores? I'm thinking maybe some kind of an abrasive material or a brush or something with the mineral spirits on there. You might be able to kind of get it out of the pores.
Interesting.
It's a bit of a challenge. Wax is not fun if things aren't going right.
Jeremy Spence, anyone brought a 15-inch planer into a basement? I'm doing it.
I'm sure they have.
I'm doing it this weekend.
Yes.
I've gotten a chain hoist, and I'm going to use unistrut with trolleys mounted to the ceiling in supports in the attic. Dang.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Woo.
Holy smokes.
Matt's basement workshop. Well, even Andy has a basement workshop.
He does.
Does he have a jointer down there?
I think he does. I'm pretty sure. Well, he's got some big tools down there, so jointer, planer. It can be done.
You just roll them down the stairs.
Push it. See what happens. It's metal. It'll be fine. I mean, the worst I've ever had to deal with was the cyclone installation where I attached it to my truck.
Yeah.
You guys should have seen that email exchange. Where I'm like, look, here's how I'm going to do this. Is this okay, Oneida? They're like, well, I'm like, good, I'm doing it anyway. Get Ralph Macchio to remove the wax.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah. I saw a picture of him being the new Karate Kid movie where he's the instructor.
Right.
Something like that.
It's the new series on YouTube.
Oh, it's a YouTube series?
Yes, it's good. It's called Cobra Kai.
Oh, it's already out, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got to check that out.
It's really good.
What am I doing with my life? All this woodworking? I could be watching Daniel LaRusso.
He's not very nice.
Listen, sometimes you just have to be
mean.
Nicole.
I just want to say, sometimes the bad guy is not always the bad guy. It's not clear cut.
Sometimes the bad guy is in here. Right? Or in here.
Yes,
okay?
It's in here. Ryan Saar says, is pressure treated lumber okay for a bench build? I mean, Not ideal, right?
I'm just letting you run with this. You got an answer, go for it.
I've heard you talk about it before.
We can.
We can.
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal.
You know, anytime
Because then
you're
you
working...
got to worry about warps, right?
Warps?
Warping the wood?
No.
The wood warping?
No.
Pressure treated?
No.
That's the stuff you get from Lowe's, right?
Yes. The problem with pressure treated is it is something that isn't that great to work with, right? So it's a matter of you're cutting this stuff all the time, and you're doing a lot of milling operations to get this into a bench. So you could totally do it, but there are also concerns about splinters and things like that, right? You know, pressure treated wood is not the funnest material to have a functional item. So if you're putting it in your backyard and building a little garden thing and you want some pressure treated, or you're doing framing and you want, what it's intended for that kind of thing where you're not in contact with it all the time, I'd be okay with that. But personally, I would not want a surface. I mean, look what we're doing right here. Everything we have right now is on this workbench. I would not necessarily want to be in contact, repeatedly with a pressure treated wood surface. Maybe I'm just paranoid and weird about that. So I'm gonna say you absolutely can. I'm gonna say that I wouldn't. Or sum it up as Nicole would have said. She not ideal. Right? But I guess I could see why. Maybe this person has a lot of access to a lot of it.
Right.
And maybe it's inexpensive, so they're thinking about it.
It's either that or nothing.
Right.
Kind of situation.
Maybe that's the case, in which case maybe think about it. I will also say the pressure treated stuff that I have access to is like waterlogged.
Well, that's what Alex just said. Jay just said. It's
JWC.
very, very, very wet when you purchase it.
Yeah. So that is what I found as well. And within like the first week, this thing, it like decreases in weight by about half. It's loaded with water. So if that's
because they pressure.
I don't know.
Not pressure washed.
They pressure washed it.
Pressure washed.
Man, we could do a whole show with you answering the questions, and the whole thing would just be whatever you want to make up.
Whatever I think of.
Well, you know how they got to pressure wash it, so it's totally loaded with water. If that's the case, you don't necessarily want to build with that, right? Because as it starts to lose all of that water, it's going to warp and bend, which again, not ideal.
Yes.
After the pressure washing.
I know the title of my show now. Not ideal. All right. We also have another question from Brad Forster. Nicole. We already answered that one. He said he already bought them for her. The paper shop.
I'm taking the rest of the day off today, so we can do a little bit of a longer show than usual.
We're gonna go play some Division 2.
Do you have to go pick up Ava?
I do.
At what time?
Right now.
Shoot. Are we in trouble if she has to stay long?
No, she's fine. Okay. She's fine. I got wiggle room.
They'll put her out front with an apple. She'll be fine.
Brett Miller says, can you review your process to buff furniture with a wax finish? What type of buffing pads do you use? And what speed do you set your orbital sander to? Typically, how many coats? Don't we have a video on this? Like, I remember you talking about the Festool pads.
No, the key though is my video was on abrading a finish. So like you have a lacquer built up finish and you are rubbing it out to a really high grit and a piano finish. I don't use wax for that necessarily. If you're using wax, I honestly don't have a whole lot of experience with wax as like your final coat. I don't really do that. The oil hard wax blends that I'm working with now, like Osmo and Rubio, those can benefit from some buffing, but it's a much simpler thing than what you might contend with using like a traditional wax buffed finish. So I don't really have any good input for him because I don't do it.
Yeah.
I actually, like when you use a lacquer, a polyurethane, to me, I just feel like the wax is just an unnecessary step. It can make the surface feel a little bit nicer, but I feel like it's a temporary gain that's going to cause you some problems. Think about the question we answered about the wax on the red oak top.
Yes.
Right? It can complicate things and also make it more difficult if you need to refinish, add a new coat, refresh the finish. That wax is something that the new finish isn't going to like. So if you have a really durable finish on a surface, putting wax on top of it, I usually say it's like having a suit of armor, and then just for extra protection, you're going to put some saran wrap on it, right? It might look a little bit better, but it's not doing a whole lot more than the finish you already have on the surface that's offering you protection. So I don't have great advice on this one.
Oh, I was just making sure we're still live.
We still live.
We still live. We got a super chat from Hadamoma. Hadamoma. Hey, from down under. Hi.
Hi.
From Australia. Well, we're
Howdy.
from the U.S., not Australia.
Yeah, hi from Australia. It's like Peter says, everyone in Australia knows each other.
Yeah.
Is it Ness down there, or is she in New Zealand? She's in Australia.
No, she's in Australia.
Hey, say hi to Ness when you see her later today. Okay?
Exactly. All right.
What else we got? Let's keep this train going, baby.
I gotta go pick up our daughter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I think I got all the super chats. Thank you everybody for the super chats. We don't have any extra Patreon people to thank.
Oh yeah, we didn't have anybody.
Yep. So.
But we did hit our
goal.
Our monthly requirement, the goal, to have a PM show. So there will be a PM show coming up. What, next week?
Next Friday. It'll be
a week from today.
It'll be a 7 p.m. Mountain. So that's 9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And
Mom's going to be here to watch the kids. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, real quick, just do this little solid. Okay, do us a little favor. I hate to do it because it's so YouTuber-y. But can you hit that little thumbs up?
Yeah.
You know, just I don't know what it's going to do, but people seem to think it matters.
I just remembered.
So could you just if you could? I don't mean to ask too much. I mean, really, I don't ask too much of people, do I? I ask you to tolerate us for an hour. Yeah. But aside from that, just hit that thumbs up.
I do have a little...
Let's just see what happens.
I have a little announcement. Season 13 of The Wood Whisperer is now on Amazon Prime.
Oh, baby.
Yay! I'll put a link in the chat. And all it means is it's just the videos from this year. So... each year is a season. Yeah, in Amazon Talk.
Well, wait, not this year, from 2018.
No, it's this year, 2019.
Oh, I see. So it's the new season, and new episodes are coming out.
So far we have 6. So basically all the videos on the website.
Hey, I'm curious. Have you guys noticed that I'm doing more videos on the free site? I hope people have noticed.
I've noticed.
This new Credenza build. It's going to be a pretty big one. I might have to do a multi-parter on this one. It's pretty much a guild level project, but it's going to be a good one. And I have been very committed to trying to put as much content out as possible while keeping all the quality, where I usually have it.
So we got another super chat that says free Deadpool.
Oh, shnikes! Someone. I'm going to end the show by moving Deadpool. Yeah. Someone did ask me to do that earlier.
And if I didn't get your question, I'm sorry. The system is a little. Pull it.
See, here's why the system rewards people for doing stupid things like asking to subscribe or asking to hit the thumbs up. In a matter of 20 seconds, it went from 30 to like 140.
Well, I don't do anything that's not asked of.
You got to be asked to do this stuff?
Ava, you want to go pick up Ava? Okay, I'll go pick up Ava.
Can you pick up Ava?
Yeah, I know.
Please. All right, here we go. We'll end the show. End the show with a.
Oh, we got to do a guild giveaway too. Do you want to give a? Do you have a question that you liked?
Yep.
Which one?
I got to look at him. Get up there, Deadpool. All right.
That sounds loud.
Impact driver, baby. The Merc with a mouth. All right, let's see. I want to give. Let's give it to Stuart Johnson.
Stuart.
I like this question about clarifying sapwood use.
Oh, that was a good one.
And furniture.
So Stuart, email me, nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com.
So I see someone are we going to have to explain the QoS joke now?
No, let's not. Let's just drop the QoS joke.
Do you guys want to? No, it's a good inside joke.
Yeah.
I think we need t-shirts.
I don't think so.
May the QoS be with you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Happy birthday, Jim.
Happy birthday, Jim. Who's Jim?
Jim Schaefer. He said it's his birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday, Jim. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have some time to get in the shop this weekend, have some fun, make some cuts, be safe, and we'll catch you next week for an evening show.
Yes.
A PM show.
PM.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Are we going to sit here for a couple minutes?
Yeah, we'll let it trail for 20 seconds. Ready? You can't do it without laughing.
I can never, because you make me laugh. That's why I married you.
Is my adorable face?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your sense of humor is why.
Thank you. Oh, it's not my flabby pecs and my flat butt. All right.
All right. Bye.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I gotta find the button.
Okay.
There it is. Here we go. Ready? 109. Pretty good show.
Yeah.